election is coming ahead. All the opposition parties are struggling for 14 years for a fair election, fresh election. So here is our diplomatic friends. So I request you to take position on the line of Bangladeshi people, democratic movement. If we can achieve a free, fair election, if we own our democratic movement, then we will be possible to find a friendly solution. This is a authoritarian government, an elected government, who are involved in gross human rights violation. Even US sanctioned our death squad RAF for extrajudicial killing. Why RAF was involved in this type of activities? To save this government, to keep in power in this government. So, through this government, there is not possible a strong initiatives, because this government are in power by some, you can say, syndicates, different kinds of syndicates, business syndicates, government official syndicates, judiciary syndicates, different types of syndicates. So they are not able to take a strong position. Say our closest neighboring country, they are not saying anything about these issues, even when a resolution is in the UN, but they are not taking position with us. So I would like to draw attention 2 or 3 points in a brief, as time is short. The displacement occurred in also 1978, 1992 and 2017. But at the time of 1978 and 92, at the time it was done peacefully, because at that time a strong government was there. But now why it is not possible? First, because there is also an issue in this paper. This is a authoritarian government, an elected government, who are involved in gross human rights violation. Even US sanctioned our death squad RAF for extrajudicial killing. Why RAF was involved in this type of activities? To save this government, to keep in power in this government. So through this government, there is not possible a strong initiatives, because this government are in power by some, you can say, syndicates, different kinds of syndicates, business syndicates, government official syndicates, judiciary syndicates, different types of syndicates. So they are not able to take a strong position, which was taken at the time of 1978 and 1992. So that's why, first I think, if we want to solve this problem, we need a fresh democratic government. Without a democratic government, it's not possible. We can pay lots of things, we can present lots of paper. Because one of the panel speaker, Mr. Jayed, said, this is also a geopolitical strategy and geopolitics. Here is our closest neighboring country. I do not want to mention the name, but I have to say our closest neighboring country. They are not saying anything about these issues, even when a resolution is in the UN, but they are not taking position with us. Even ASEAN is not also taking a strong position. Even some ASEAN countries, there is huge investment in Myanmar, like Singapore, even in our neighboring country, India, China. So first, if we want to solve this problem, I think election is coming ahead. All the opposition parties are struggling for 14 years for a fair election, fresh election. So here is our diplomatic friends. So I request you to take position on the line of Bangladeshi people, democratic movement. If we can achieve a free, fair election, if we own our democratic movement, then we will be possible to find a friendly solution, a good solution. Thanks all.
With you, perhaps that may arouse your interest. Now, about 4 decades ago, in 81, a few of us, including me, used to brief President Ziaur Rahman on foreign policy issues, especially because he was involved in the Iran-Iraq mediation effort. Now, on that occasion, one evening, at that time, if you remember, one of you, President Carter was in charge in the US, and his national security advisor was Zbigniew Brzezinski. Brzezinski used to teach at Georgetown, and he was of Polish origin, and he was extremely hawkish. Now, Brzezinski came up with the doctrine known among many others as the concept of shatter belts. Shatter belts mean that a part of some territory within the third world that would tend to fall apart, and if the United States should take interest in penetrating or getting involved there. Now, in his list of shatter belts, Arakan, or the place where the Rohingyas lived and were kicked out, was number one. When President Zia was introduced to the Rohingya crisis, I remember we mentioned Brzezinski's doctrine of shatter belts and the American interest if there would be some administration which has aggressive or imperial designs, that they would get involved in Arakan or have something to do with it. Now this brings me to the current Indo-Pacific strategy, where the United States basically is more focused on the Pacific but has now turned towards the Indian Ocean and has shown consistent interest in not only just the Indian Ocean, in the Bay of Bengal. Why is it so? Some of us tend to believe that just like the way we thought in the Cold War, that the US would only have a passing interest in the Bay of Bengal. But that's not true. There are several reasons why the United States would like to have a lasting impact on the Bay of Bengal, and as I believe, why Bangladesh should promote and sustain these American interests for its own sake, for its own future geopolitical salvation, and also the fact that we may perhaps have a government in the future, a BNP government led by a new Prime Minister named Tariq Rahman, who has the blood of President Zia, and he might probably think of a more positive approach in terms of the Indo-Pacific strategy. Now, the very fact that the United States needs to stop any Chinese outlet into the Indian Ocean, as my preceding speaker had said, and the very fact that if China gets an opportunity to set up base in the Bay of Bengal and develop a relationship with the Myanmar Navy to the extent that it uses this as a second access to the Straits of Malacca, this would be a great headache for the United States. As you know, within the next 5 years, China plans to annex Taiwan. And the United States is absolutely determined not to let China use its military power to annex Taiwan. Taiwan is absolutely vital for the West, mainly because of the rare advanced computer chips on which Taiwan almost has monopoly, and secondly because across the Straits of Malacca 80% of container shipping passes along. Now if China goes on claiming this strait as its territorial sea and actually intervenes militarily in Taiwan, this would perhaps lead to almost a certain